You could be forgiven for not knowing who Maajid Nawaz is. Now, he is a former presenter on left-wing echo chamber radio station LBC, and he's just been sacked by them, but I'll get to that later. But apart from being a radio presenter, he did a few newspaper articles and helped run an organisation which tried to dissuade young Muslims from becoming terrorists, or radicalised at least. So he's not someone you hear about all the time. He has a dubious past. He was arrested and convicted of terrorism offences. I believe it was in Egypt, where they incarcerated him. He did his time, and then he completely turned his life around. Now lives in the UK, and I believe he has a white British wife. Correct me if I'm wrong. So anyway, I used to listen to him on LBC. Some things I'd agree with him with, and some things I didn't. And it was refreshing to hear voices on LBC at the time when I was listening to it. That meant the radio station itself wasn't a left-wing echo chamber, because they famously got rid of Katie Hopkins because Owen Jones cried to them. And they got rid of Nigel Farage because they didn't like what he was saying about the dinghy drivers. And quite frankly, I find their presenters to be rather infuriating, because you've got the likes now of Eddie Mair, whose monotone, drone, boring voice could send an insomniac to sleep within minutes. You got Nick Abbott on at the midnight hour. I think he's only doing it like once or twice a week now. But his bread and butter is basically slandering Donald Trump and his family, and that's it. The guy's got no other material. And then there's Fat Flump, Sheila Fogarty, a big blubbery mass of left-wing hate, if ever there was one. And then there's Nick Ferrari, who does the morning breakfast show. And let's be honest, alright, Nick Ferrari doesn't give a shit, doesn't give a flying fuck about what happens to the public, unless the same thing's happening to him. There's also Ian Dale. Now, I'll admit, I'm nothing special to look at, but Ian Dale's head looks like an angry boy tried to draw a face on a potato. Now, Ian Dale says he's a conservative, but he also blindly defends a certain demographic that would have him flung from the tallest building in London because of his sexuality. So he is literally a turkey voting for Christmas. And last but not least, you've got James O'Brien. James O'Brien is the epitome of the wealthy, middle-class, Guardian-reading, elitist, champagne socialist who treats any caller who's not left-wing enough like shit. I think if this guy ever had to really admit that he was wrong for once, it might give him a heart attack or a stroke. And when the odd caller does get the better of him on his show, he's been known to call them Zionists and other bog-standard left-wing slurs. So as you can imagine, LBC now isn't really pleasure to the ears. It is quite literally a left-wing echo chamber. So how come Maajid Nawaz was sacked, you ask? Well, he tweeted this, and it reads, "It's time we all spelt it out plainly, my friend. We are witnessing a global palace coup that suspends our rights under the guise of an emergency that has been proven to be manipulated by a network of fascists who seek a new world order governed by technocratic corporatism." Now that was a reply to Richard Tice, as you can see at the bottom. So he tweeted this, and then Chris Bryant retweeted it with the headline, "This man is dangerous, LBC." Now he retweeted this with LBC in the comment, hoping someone at LBC would see it and take action. And take action they did, because they fired him. And they fired him along with this statement. Maajid Nawaz's contract with LBC is up very shortly, and following discussions with him, Maajid will no longer present a show on LBC with immediate effect. We thank Maajid for the contribution he has made to LBC and wish him well. So basically, an MP is scared of what Maajid is saying, tweeted it for publicity, and we've had no choice but to sack him because it doesn't go along with what we're saying and our narrative. Now, Maajid was fired for his point of view, and his point of views are basically anti-vaccination, which is fair enough. But why the hell is the guy dangerous? Why are opinions dangerous? The only opinions dangerous now are opinions that don't go along with the pro-vaccination, pro-lockdown, or anything left-wing narrative. If you're against any of them, or if your opinion is different, then you're dangerous, and you will get cancelled. It's happened to many. Now it's happened to Maajid Nawaz. So who is Chris Bryant, I hear you ask? Well, as you can see, he has his blue verified Twitter twat tick, which means he can say what he wants. And he is the current Labour MP for the Rhondda in South Wales, and he took that seat from Plaid Cymru plank Leanne Wood. So that's probably the best thing he's ever done. removing her Marxist arse from power. And as we all know, Labour in Wales is run by Dippy Mark Drakeford. So that's all you need to know, really. Now, I'd suggest the most dangerous man here in this conversation is Chris Bryant, because the guy literally had a man fired simply for saying the wrong thing, and he didn't like it, and a company took action. Now, according to Maajid Nawaz, his family's only source of income was his job at LBC, so that's gone. Now, Maajid Nawaz is an exceptional broadcaster. He's good at what he does, so it's not going to really put him in a position where he can't get a job, because a good radio station would snap him up just like that. And it's good, really, that a radio station can have someone with two sets of views. Like I said earlier, I like half the things he says, and I don't like the other half, but that's a good thing. So it's not like he's going to be out of a job for a long time, is it? And as for LBC, that place has gone downhill anyway. They used to have good presenters. It wasn't always a left-wing echo chamber. But this is the first time they've sacked a presenter because someone else has cried about it. Remember I said earlier, Katie Hopkins was sacked because Owen Jones had a good cry about her. But there we go, that place is just literally infested with left-wing bigotry and presenters who are quite frankly full of hate. And that's what I think about the whole situation anyway. That's my video, that's me done. I hope you've enjoyed. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments. And if you like what I do, if you love what I do, because I love what I do, then by all means, you can buy me a beer. The link is down below. But if you don't like what I do, if you don't love what I do, then have a good cry about it. By all means, report me to YouTube. Or you can just make subtle references about me. Because Lee Williams and I live in your head 24/7. And we always will be. You will never exercise us from your memory. Unlucky. Also be sure to download the GETTR app. Is it GETTR or GETTR? I still can't pronounce it. But GETTR is better than Twitter, though it's like Twitter, but better. It's a social media platform. It's mainly for conservatives, but saying that, it's just a place where censorship doesn't exist. And the lefties are following us all over from Twitter because they hate us that much. And it's always better where the patriots are. Remember that. So they're coming over from Twitter to have a good cry about what we say and do. But because there's no censorship, we can say whatever the hell we want to them. And there's nothing they can do about it. So it's all good fun. Join me on GETTR. All your other favourite YouTubers are also on there. So until my next video, comment, share, subscribe. Share my stuff everywhere. Around the world. It pisses people off. I like that. And Roger Trout.